Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read The Skeptic's Walk by Diderot, by Denise Diderot, translated by Kirk Watson. I read it on my e-reader. And first, I want to tell you how I came across this. So, like most people, I spend time looking at things on Amazon, and Amazon's always suggesting things, and they even send me notifications saying, this is something that we think you would like. And it's been years since Amazon was recommended anything to me that I was even passingly interested in. When Amazon first came about, and I was a much earlier reader, there were a lot of recommendations that were extremely helpful, but at this point, they're usually really off the mark. It's either classics that I've either read or I know about. Already know my level of interest in reading a certain Charles Dickens novel or whatever. They also recommend really bizarre current new releases that I struggled to understand through my own buying history why they would be even recommending certain things to me, like supernatural romances. And then they'll send me notifications saying the new release by Dostoevsky, something silly like that. I would look at it, and it's of course nothing new. It's basically clickbait. In any event, I was on Amazon looking at the recommendations, things that they think that I might like, and I came across a bullseye, an absolute bullseye, and it was this, The Skeptic's Walk by Diderot, and it's hard to explain how excited I was when I saw this. It was legitimately something new, a new translation by one of my favorite authors. And I pulled out some books. I absolutely love Diderot. I love everything that I've read by him. And I go back to Diderot and very often read, he has a lot of shorter pieces. And this is what I have. Just this collection, four fairly short books, two long works: The Nun by Diderot, Jacques the Fatalist, which I recently reread. There's Rameau's Nephew and First Satire, and then this really interesting book. Again, Rameau's Nephew and Other Works, but it's translated by Jacques Barzun. So a bit of a curiosity, but still terrific. It has, when I had gotten this, I'd already read the other volumes that I have, and I was extremely excited when I found this. And put all these books down. For a writer that I love, and to have those few books, and knowing that Diderot was an extremely prolific writer. There's lots of stuff available to read by him. Just not an English translation, or at least widely available English translation that I can easily have accessible to me. And so I hit the buy now button with such alacrity, that cheerful readiness, and I read it in a complete frenzy. Something else I will talk about the work, but something else that I was thinking about as I was reading it, and especially when I finished it, was how quickly I read this. It is short. It's the equivalent of 200 pages, something like that. And I'm not a fast reader at all. I've read a lot of books because I commit a lot of time to reading. have fairly large portions of my day committed every day for reading, and so I can move the page. My reading, my reading speed tends to accelerate as I'm reading longer works. I recently read Crime and Punishment again, and each 100 pages I read faster than the last 100, and so I'm consuming the end of the book with such rapidity because I get totally involved in the story. I know what's going on. I can visualize the characters, and I can just have this mental picture as if I'm reading through a motion picture in my mind. And it's my favorite kind of reading. It's when you completely forget the world around you and you're just consumed by a great work. And reading this was one of the rare examples. There are a handful of things, but one of the rare examples where I hit the ground running, and I'm so excited and so impressed that I just blow through it nearly a single sitting reading this. And so much of it comes from Diderot's voice. He has it's one of the rare examples for my reading life. He's one of those authors that his personality really feels like it's on the page. You're really connecting with somebody that was alive and had ideas and talked and had a particular sense of humor. All of the things that you get when you're interacting with a person in real life, and you realize somebody's a character and has an opinion on everything and talks in a certain way and thinks in a certain way and laughs in a certain way. And Diderot just comes all of that personality is conveyed on the page, and he's charming and dizzying, just bursting with ideas. And he's Diderot and Voltaire are the two writers that make me think of this genre of the Enlightenment period, where as you're reading it, you think about how important it is to have critical thoughts of the world around you, to really observe and try to understand the things that are happening around you. And it can be big picture things like life and death, what it means to be alive and what it means to die, and also small observational things, just little details that you see all the time, all around you, and to think, do I really have an opinion on tedium and minutia, or am I accepting so much, taking for granted so many of the things that are around me? And Diderot is just full of so much energy and excitement, and kind of invigorates me into thinking like, well, I can have thoughts too. I can have opinions and get all jazzed up about something or other. Uh, it's no surprise that the chapters throughout this little work have what are they called? Epigraphs in front of each chapter with quotes by Horace. Horace is one of the few writers that remind me of Diderot, or I feel that there's a lot of similar qualities. the voice on the page, the personality, really feeling like there was a real person with a mind that was writing these things and is trying to convey their personality. And also the strange mixture of genre, that conversational tone, the philosophical ideas, the details of regular life, the unstructured format, where it really does feel, as you're reading it, that you're walking through a conversation. Diderot and Horace, I find both to be conversational. There's a leisurely, inviting style, as if you're just having this amazing conversation that is full of excitement and frenzy and all of that, but it's comfortable and confident, and like you're at a dinner table that's just moving along exactly the way it should be. So it is comfortable and commanding, comfortable and commanding. And so, all of that out of the way, the Skeptic's Walk, this little work, there was a brief introduction describing it as a combination of, or a version of, Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, or The Divine Comedy by Dante. And so it's this idea of going going on a walk and having a conversation and seeing things as you're going and meeting different people, these different archetypal characters. Each one is bringing a different voice and a different perspective, and there's a guide, and that conversational tone marches through this path that you're on through the work. There's the Valley of Thorns, and then there's the Valley of Flowers, and there's the Field of Chestnut Trees. These archetypal things that immediately evoke certain images and worldviews as you're reading them. And the philosophical aspects, it's actually my favorite kind of philosophy. So much of so many of the philosophers that I've read are not enjoyable, not entertaining, exhausting, exasperating. Like, you sit and you try to read Kant or Spinoza, and there's a lot of valuable insights, and it's not like I'm saying, or anybody says that they're completely worthless, but it's not exactly my favorite thing to sit down and read. When I read Plato, my favorite parts of Plato are those little walks. It's the conversational moments before Socrates starts going off about, well, there's a circle, but what is circleness? Whatever. I always just love that it's two people getting together and they're going to go for a walk and have a conversation. One of the other parts that I like about reading Plato is the inconclusive ending of so many of the, at least early dialogues, where at the end of the dialogue, everybody is confused, and Socrates goes, "Oh, nice conversation," and then off he goes. And it's very rare to find that entertaining, engaging, philosophical genre or style of writing that is entertaining and fun to read, and the philosophical nature of it is really mostly about invigorating your mind into um, thinking about things. Like I think I mentioned it earlier, reading something and thinking like, well, I can think about things too. I can have all sorts of thoughts and I can be opinionated. Um, but just seeing how lively and fun it can be a critical thinker, um, to examine the world around you and listen to people and decide, am I going to believe what they're saying? Um, and not taking things for granted. There was a moment in one of the conversations in here, um, talking about the holy texts and the ancient texts, and so this was written hundreds of years ago during the Enlightenment period, and one of the characters just says, "How can you possibly take all these old ancient texts as holy writ and um, absolutely 100% true when there's nothing verifiable about anything?" And we know today, people that are writing things that know that they can be um, held accountable for are still lying. People today are writing and they're lying. And 10 years ago, people were lying. People were lying all the time. What makes you think they weren't lying back then? It's just older. um, in any event, the topics of conversation just roll through. Um, there's no kind of story arc or build up or anything like that. You start meeting these characters and people start talking, and it's that frenzied, excited conversation just straight through, and then it's over. And so, um, um, thankfully, the end of the work has a glossary of topics that you can go, and then it'll have um, links to go back to. And so, I'll just start reading just some of the topics to give you an idea. A discussion of the disciples of Jesus Christ, a discussion between a false friend and a young man, a discussion between a pagan philosopher and a Christian, a discussion between a philosopher and a courtesan, a discussion between an atheist and a Christian, a discussion between two philosophers, a discussion between two false lovers, a discussion between an author and a philosopher, two kinds of knowledge in the world, soap, down slippers, Dutchman, the ecclesiastical hierarchy, the ecclesiastical history, egotisticalism, Englishmen, executioners, the existence of God, faith, farmers, fishermen, fishmongers, flirts, flowers, the King of Prussia, Friar John, friendships, future rewards, future torments. And it goes, geography, glasses, on and on and on. Hell, holy water, the Inquisition. I loved it. It was exhilarating. A new work by Diderot. The translation was great. Nothing to completely write home about, but I just got I had the feeling that I was reading an old friend again. This is Diderot's a writer I've been reading for years, and I always go back to. And here's a new work that I get to read by him, and I loved it. It's fantastic. I think my favorite authors, when I think about Maupassant, I absolutely love reading Maupassant. And I have 16 volumes. I have no want of Maupassant. And so, just to have another addition to my very small collection um, by a hugely prolific writer that I love, and I got to read it. It was amazing. So, it's The Skeptic's Walk by Diderot, translated by Kurt Watson. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know what you think about Diderot, if you've read anything else by him. Let me know if you know of things that I haven't mentioned that you've found. I would love to know about that as well. Um, and so yeah, I think I think I expressed myself um, fairly well this time about how excited I was to find this. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.